Alrighty, hello everybody, and welcome back to Sparxe's 2-key event, presented by Joke. We are rolling right along this round of 16 weekend, and oh boy, we got quite a bit of a block here coming up. We're gonna start things off with DimplesRMe versus TomisNotGood, and this is going to be our third losers bracket matchup, so a lot on the line for these two players. A 29 versus 13 matchup here, and looks like both players are in lobby. Flipped around, but we'll get that straightened out as we get things going. And it looks like both players opting to skip their warm-ups and go straight into the roll, so we're gonna get right down to business here. As always, my name is Sparky, and I am here by myself in the commentary booth for this matchup here. We'll be joined later on, but for right now, gonna ride it solo. A 67 for DimplesRMe versus the 83 of TomisNotGood. So DimplesRMe is gonna get the first ban. Tom is going to get the first pick here as we get into this match. And looking at this pool overall, it's a bit of a step up from round of 32, but I feel like as things progressively get denser, we might see some of the more physically capable players find some comfort in some of these picks. And as I say that, we get rid of Speed and SV. SV, definitely a step up from last week's, where it was the most popular pick in the pool. I wouldn't be surprised if this weekend it was the most popular ban in the pool. It is a mishmash of very hard tech versus some really awkward stutters, and players aren't going to want to play it with a speed pick. It's just a higher BPM, and some of the patterns towards the end definitely do start to pick up with regards to like 5-stroke rolls, but nothing too outrageous, but just not something that Dimples is going to want to play, as Tom opts to go for Rice 4. So one of the longer Rice charts in this pool, and arguably one of the most technically demanding. Makes sense from them. They are a pretty good all-round player, and definitely not one to shy away from these harder picks. So we'll see how they do on this pick. I imagine they'll have the advantage on these more physically demanding picks, and Dimples is probably going to want to opt for maybe the less dense things overall, maybe stuff like Rice 1, LN1, or LN2 rather. But we'll wait to see here. Right now, just waiting on the players to get situated here inside of the lobby. Alrighty, we got the players all situated. I imagine they'll ready up before too long. We'll get into this first pick of this best of 9. If you tuned in last week, that was a best of 7 format. We have increased the map pool size, so now it is first player to 5 points will be taking home the victory. And moving on to the quarterfinals, loser of this match will be eliminated from the tournament. Already had 2 players say goodbye earlier on this weekend. Who will be the one to join them, and who will be one moving forward as we get on in here? This first pick, Rice 4, very technically demanding. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of disjointed plan patterns between both hands. A lot of triples and doubles that don't really flow too smoothly. Some bursts as well, as Dimples finds the first drop. Taking full advantage, growing their lead to about 9,000 points. This is before the 400 combo cap, so not going to extend the advantage as much as they would have if this were halfway through, but still a pretty sizable advantage, about 2%. These long notes come through A lot of 200s raining down, going to drop their accuracy a little bit, but still holding on to the FC, going to do them a world of good for right now. And as we continue on here, going on into the second third of the chart, Dimples finding quite a bit of a struggle through these long jacks, 92%. Tom finally finding a trade in return, but faring much better as we're going into the back half of the chart. A chance to take a break and a chance to introduce our co-commentator for this match. It is going to be Sunny. Sunny, how you doing? Might have jumped the gun a little bit. Not fully ready here, but we'll get him in here before too long as we wait for the rest of this map to finish out here. Dimples lagging behind, 88%, down into that B rank range. Some of these long jacks really taking them for a ride through some of the harder sections of the chart. Tom faring much better, despite only having played the map pool about an hour ago. So very impressive reading skills coming out from them as they cross that 400 combo cap. Things calming down just a little bit in the grand scheme of things. With a quarter of the map still left to go, growing their advantage to about 200,000 points. This is quickly turning into a runaway. Not really much Dimples can do from this position outside of trying to put up the best score that they can.
Yeah, hello. I finally got my technical issues solved.
Nice.
Hello, Sparky. Yeah, I am running a bit late, but looks like I did not miss too much. We are concluding with the first map. I'm honestly not very shocked about these results because, as a teammate of Dimples from One Key World Cup, definitely a thing I've noted down from their performance is that they actually struggle a bit more on the more physical side of things. Mm-hmm. So, especially during some of the more speed picks in One Key World Cup, and I think even Joke 3 when they were playing in, they did struggle more on the physical side, and definitely with this map being pretty jack heavy focused, it's definitely not in Dimples' field of range, but they are going to fire back with a LN2 pick. Going to try to even out this lead. Maybe if the denser Rice picks don't work out, maybe play some more tame long note side of things.
Yeah, and this is definitely much tamer in comparison to Rice 4. I was mentioning it before you got in here that Dimples would probably want to opt for these less physically demanding picks, and this is definitely, I think, the hardest bit of this chart as a whole is just some of the awkward release timings, but it's very 1-2 based outside of a couple of 4-note bursts here and there. I think coordination is going to be the big separating factor in this chart.
Yeah, just as long as Dimples can get these coordination patterns nailed to a T and keep fairly decent accuracy and get those notes released on time, they could definitely bring this in their favor and tie this up at 1 apiece. But it's going to have to be up to Tom if they are going to put Dimples to the test and just overall have a better release end of things, as this map is definitely a lot more LN timing and release focused than anything. But there's an early slider break from Tom.
Yeah, I think this is more an unfamiliarity miss. I think they self-admitted that they only started reading through this pool a couple hours ago, and really paying off in favor of Dimples 4 right now, despite not having the accuracy. The fact that they're able to hold on to the combo, able to get back up, able to get over that 400 combo cap and stay above there, gives them a tiny bit of a lead here. But Tom not too far behind. As things calm down, they are able to stabilize just a little bit, gonna get back up with that 400 combo cap, and because of the fact that they're a full % ahead of Dimples 4 right now, gonna start clawing back at this lead going into the second quarter.
Yeah, it's more or less just Dimples releasing a lot more late than what they anticipated, as well as lots of these timings being pretty strict as well. And like you did mention, Tom being a full percentage ahead of Dimples, even though they dropped, and there's another slider break, and that was pretty detrimental too. That dropped their accuracy down to roughly where Dimples' level is, and now they're gonna have a really pretty strong cushion going into the first chorus of this map. But Tom finding another slider break as Dimples almost starting to beat them out in accuracy as we reach this first part. About to conclude with it now. Those were some not very good drops from Tom. That dropped their accuracy down probably 0.6, I would like to say.
Yeah, basically back down into the range of Dimples, and now behind Dimples as these row coordination sections, the anchors on one hand with the single taps on the other, really taking them for a bit of a ride, not able to get their bearings as they begin to rain down. But as things calm down, a chance to stabilize a little bit, things basically repeat from here on out. The long anchor on one hand, a bit of a freeform section in between, and then you start getting back into the swing of things. With half the map still left to go, it is 40,000 points in favor of Dimples. They have pulled out a pretty impressive lead, able to hold on to this combo that they have built up, 2,000 and climbing. It's really, I was about to say, it's looking really good for Dimples, but finding a slider break here, going to put a tiny bit of a dent into the lead, but they still have the accuracy advantage, so all's fair here, just giving back some of that misadvantage that they had built up here.
Yeah, Dimples with that slider break, that did put a slight dent in their score, but still only by 25,000 points of difference. But there's another one from Dimples. And now that accuracy lead is roughly about a 10th of a percentage, there's only a quarter of the map left to go, but that 20,000 point differential is definitely speaking for itself. But as the map progresses and as Dimples tries to clean up those drops, it starts to shrink and shrink. It's just going to come down to if Dimples finds another break and if there's enough map left.
Yeah, it's a bit of a reprisal here from the first half of the chart where you get these syncopated patterns between both hands, but I think Tom has really caught on to the overall gimmick, able to put a tiny bit of a lead, but they trade an opportunity for Tom to try and take advantage, but not capitalized upon as Dimples rebuilds that advantage that they had lost going into this final section, and it looks like they're going to be able to hang on here. 33,000 points and climbing. It's going to get notched up 1-1 to start this match off.
Yeah, even with Dimples' very rough start on the accuracy side of things, it just came down to Tom's misses, and you can see a lot of slider breaks and misses, especially in the back end of that map. Dimples regulating that miss count and those slider breaks, but you can tell by the 200s and the 300s that Dimples does struggle a bit more on the more ratio and 200 side of thing. But Tom just finding a bit of a weakness on the consistency side of things.
Yeah,
like now gonna get race 3 pick out of Tom.
Yeah, I was gonna say just not able to really latch on to the real gimmick of that LN chart, but we'll chalk that up more to unfamiliarity. And as you mentioned, we move on to Rice 3. This is a bit more of a long stream type of chart. Slower BPM than our speed pick, which was banned out, but it's really, can you handle the long jacks for extended periods of time with some of those taps on the other hand making an appearance every now and again. I think this one's maybe more favored towards Tom, but it might be slow enough for Dimples to maybe swing something here if Tom isn't too careful.
Yeah, 144 BPM, so definitely nothing really too much, but there definitely are some sections of this beat map where Dimples can definitely slip up on sections. And already starting out with the get-go, Dimples struggling a bit on those jacks, but they're starting to regulate it. But as they do elongate a bit more now, as those jacks start to extend in length, they are starting to find a lot more drops already down into the B range, while Tom is having a very strong run, 99.3 for them, while Dimples is just struggling to really maintain just pretty fast jack sections. And now it's already a 120, well now 130,000 point lead in Tom's favor.
Yeah, this is a textbook case of one player being very comfortable with the assignment, the other one not. And I mean, we were alluding to it. Dimple's not the most physically, not the most comfortable with physical picks, and the fact that we're asking them to play what is essentially 144 BPM chord jack, it's a very tall ask, and it looks like Tom is up to the task, up in that 98% range. Just another runaway here as we continue into the back half of the chart.
Yeah, it's pretty much no stopping. As Dimples finding a lot more breaks on this section. They're almost about to drop into that C range as Tom finding a break, but that won't do much as they have a ginormous lead over Dimples that only gets bigger as this map continues. It's very exhausting. Jack's almost bumping up to 400,000 points. It's pretty much safe to say, unless Tom presses that escape key twice, it's pretty much safe to say that this will go in their favor, as there's not really much map left to go.
Yeah, there's not really much Dimples can do in this scenario. It's one of those, I don't think they would have ever willingly picked this. Just hearing the song alone, you can kind of understand what was going to be occurring, but still, hats off to Tom. That's a really impressive score they're going to be putting up here at 98.6, 935k. Very good overall. They make it 1-2 here. Only 2 misses.
That was a very solid miscount.
Mm-hmm.
Now it is Dimples' pick, and yeah,
I'm not sure what a good map would be for Dimples here. LN2 is the least physically demanding. Maybe LN1 just to see if they can pull one over in terms of the release elements. Seems like Tom wasn't too comfortable with the LN2 releases. This one a little bit more physically demanding. It'll make for some good back and forths, I imagine, but we'll see what happens here as we load up LN1.
Yeah, I'm a bit interested to see how this one will go. Like you did mention, this is the more physically demanding long note pick. And it's also a lot shorter than what we had with long note 2, pretty much cutting that length in half. And as you did, or as I did point out, Tom did find a lot more of those misses near the tail end of the beat map. So definitely finding some wear and tear near the end. But now you're only working with about 1.5 minutes worth of long notes. And seeing how they're a lot faster, 140 BPM, maybe this is a bit of an advantage for Tom, as you don't really have much time to go in the map. Just as long as you can beat out Dimples on that judgment side of things, you might be able to snag a breakpoint away from Dimples, as they already had a pretty rough start, but they are starting to clean up from those messy 200s. I think there might have been some 100s in there too. Only 15,000 points in Tom's favor.
Yeah, we got both FCs still left on the table, just really a battle of the accuracy as Dimples finds the first slider break, able to hold on valiantly through those long jacks with the anchor on the other hand, but one step too far, maybe one sequence too many. They find the break, and that 2% accuracy discrepancy is really going to start rearing its head here as they make their way back up to that 400 combo cap. Tom still holding on to their FC, 99.3% accuracy for them, able to really expand this lead to the tune of about 50,000 points.
Yeah, they pretty much have the floor going into the back half of this map, still holding on to their full combo, plus a near 2% lead over Dimples, who is starting to climb up to that 400 combo cap as we get into a less physically demanding part of the map, as although the damage does look to be already done, even if Tom does find that miss there, that won't be doing much as there is relatively next to no map left to go. I mean, that lead is starting to shrink in, but it's only just by a couple 100 points of shrinkage, as Tom is going to safely take this point and a break point as well.
Yeah,
both players. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say first break point go over the way of Tom, but before I cut you off, Dimples not that bad with the near 900k on that chart. Not an easy chart to get good scores on, and very valiant effort from them.
And also, both players no missing the chart. Both players getting a slider break at least somewhere throughout this section, but very impressive from both sides with that no miss. Tom getting their 200 count in the single digits. That's actually very impressive. On
Yeah,
a
that
more
map.
physically demanding pick.
Yeah, very easy to spike 200s on the releases if you mistime the starts of it, but still moving on to the top half of the map pool. Tom really finding it to be their mainstay as they go for Rice 2 here.
Yeah, this is another pretty physically demanding Rice pick. Although it being 150 BPM, there are some 1/3 scattered throughout this chart, but it doesn't really. It's only for like a short amount of time. It's not like half this map is 1/3. It's still majority 1/4, but you do have those. You do have those changing in snaps that do show up, like right here. But even then, it's not really much. But as an out, Dimples is holding up fairly well with an opening 200. Tom having a pretty great start, better than Dimples, but they are starting to clean up from that nasty drop inaccuracy at that beginning. Already in that high 98 range.
Yeah, now we get into these elongated split streams. Odd number counts on both hands. Basically forcing you to really respect what the chart is asking you to play. It's very easy to autopilot as Dimples finds a couple of drops through this first section going into the second quarter of the chart. Tom handling it much better as they're about to cross that 400 combo cap, 99.7% to the 98. And a 23,000 point lead for Tom here.
Yeah, just especially at the sheer speed of this map, 150 BPM, and seeing how fast those transitions from those mini jacks to hit 2 trills, they are definitely very easy to slip up on, and that is definitely what is getting the best of Dimples right now, as they are almost about to drop their S rank while Tom is still holding up a fairly strong score, and as Dimples trying their hardest to regulate or just try to calm down those misses. They do find some more on those very nasty transitions in and out of those trills and mini jacks, and they drop their S rank by climbing right back up to it, and 100,000 points difference in Tom's favor.
Yeah, it's really just the fact that these sequences aren't even numbered. You can't really settle into a bit of a groove, and you might be comfortable hitting doubles on the one hand before transitioning to the other, but when it gets to the 3, the 5s, that's really when the strain starts to get put on the hands, and that's where the drops happen coming from Dimples as they try to snake their way through some of these harder sections. And with a third of the chart still left to go, it's about 5%. Another runaway for Tom here, 170,000 points and climbing. Now it's really just how high of a score can Tom put up here, and can they hold on to the FC with this last quarter still left to come?
I believe they're on a V1 double S run. I mean, that accuracy would say otherwise. A high 99.7 would make me think that they are on a V1 double S run, but maybe they did find a 200 on, though maybe on an LN or maybe on those tricky transitions of those mini jacks and trills. But we're gonna have to see even maybe these 1/3 slipping them up. But so far, their accuracy has been staying at a constant 99.7. As Dimples trying to hold that calm for this last part, it's not really going to matter as it's a 260,000 point lead. Even with Dimples' best efforts, it's not going to be enough. And Tom, finding a 200
at the end,
but a
990.
Oh, you hate to see that 1/200, but still a very valiant effort from both sides. That will put Tom at a match point situation, and Dimples in pretty much cornered now, as they have to win 3 maps in a row. They have no more long no picks. They would probably have to dive down into the hybrids, or even if there is an SV pick. I don't even... Did the SV pick get banned? I wasn't here for the bans.
Yeah, it got banned.
Alright, so, I mean, they have 3 hybrids, and they're going to go for hybrid 3.
Yeah, I think there's... All 3 of these hybrids are... They test some aspect of your playstyle in some way. I think House with Legs might be the lesser of all evils, strangely enough. It is technical, but it's more LN heavy. There aren't really all too many awkward bursts But it remains to be seen. This is do or die time for Dimples. Tom on the cusp of punching their ticket to the quarterfinals. And pretty decent length as well, 2 minutes 30 seconds.
Dimples, do not tell me that you are rolling for your picks.
Oh, this was the only one that they rolled for.
Yeah, I saw the roll 3 in the chat. I was like, okay, they are gonna roll for a hybrid, I guess. But so far, a pretty tricky beginning, and that's actually gonna catch up Dimples with that pretty much like Cerno's perfect math class. That opening trill already getting the best of Dimples, and Tom absolutely cruising through that first section. I believe they only found a few 200s, while Dimples found a very nasty drop there. And just like that, they're already in the 94.
Yeah, this one, like I mentioned, it tests certain aspects of your playstyle, and this one is very much those 1/6, 1/8 bursts that come through into a chord. It's always so hard getting that last doublet in there before transitioning into either an LN or just that double stop, and Tom handling it much better than Dimples at the moment as we make our way into the second third. A full 4% between the two players, and I mean, Tom has such a massive cushion to work with right now.
Yeah, they have a ginormous cushion. 85,000 points, and now almost 87,000 as Dimples did find a few more drops, and we are about to cross over the halfway section of this map. Tom almost up to that 99 range. They are finding quite a lot of 200s on these LN release sections. But I mean, with Dimples not at that S rank range, they pretty much have a solid lead, 100,000 now. And Tom now starting to find some drops, but I think the damage has already been done. You can find a lot more misses in this last section, and it wouldn't really matter.
Yeah, they have so much to work with here. Everything moving in their favor as the last quarter begins here. Bit more of a anchored LN section with one column just doing the rest of the work, transitioning in between. But as it stands, not really too much to unsettle the players for now. Dimples finding a bit of footing, able to rebuild some of that accuracy, but as it stands, a valiant effort overall, able to basically do their best on some of these charts, but just the physicality requirement already in round of 16, a little bit too much for them to handle, and Tom taking full advantage. The last slider break comes through, and that will do it. Tom will move on to the losers quarterfinals, knocking out Dimples in the round of 16 with a score of 5-1.
Yeah, a valiant effort from Dimples, the only Canadian rep in this tournament, and sadly we are going to have to see them take their exit in Sparx's 2-key event. Although Tom is not good, even though they are in that losers bracket, they have secured a ticket into the losers quarterfinals. Their opponent is not yet decided. It's either going to be Miniag or Bagyetka. Whoever loses that match will go up against Tom. But unfortunately, it is the end of the line for Dimples. They put up a valiant effort. It just was not enough. And Tom is not good. Like you mentioned, punches their ticket into the losers quarterfinals. And you can see here our current losers bracket for now. Plenty of more matches on the way. I believe we are going to go off the air for about an hour before we get into our next match, which I believe will be a winner's bracket match. It's going to be a Stall fanboy, also known as Zeno, versus that no-name boy at 21:30 UTC.
Yep, so plenty more action to come. That block will continue on just a little bit further, but we'll worry about those as they come along. Until then, like you mentioned, we're going to take a bit of a break, and we'll catch y'all later.
Goodbye.